Welcome back to Alpha Recap. Thanks for joining us. Markets closed after a pretty eventful day, and we've got a lot to unpack from May 28th. As always, if you have questions, you can reach us at stockalpha.ai.
Great to be here. The day ended with a real split. Energy, utilities, and real estate finished stronger, while crypto, parts of healthcare, and communications looked cautious. Lots of policy and big capital moves in play.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what really stands out here is how cross-market headlines, policy, big deals, geopolitics, actually drove a pretty bifurcated tape.
Right, and the other thing is the renewable story. Module bookings and big project financing were front and center, which is what pushed energy and utilities into outperformance.
Before we dig in, quick reminder. This is market analysis and not investment advice. We're talking about why markets moved, not saying anyone should buy or sell anything.
Exactly. Okay, headline roundup. Jinko Solar booked a big chunk of capacity, Digital Bridge closed a large acquisition, a Texas battery project got major financing, and cannabis rescheduling continued to stir policy action. On the flip side, crypto had heavy outflows and token weakness.
Let's hit that Jinko Solar note first. The company reported a 20 gigawatt booking. That was one of the data points traders picked up on for the solar manufacturing story.
20 gigawatts. That's meaningful. It signaled stronger than expected demand for modules, which rippled into materials names and industrial suppliers tied to polysilicon and logistics.
I mean, when you step back and look at this, strong forward bookings can justify more capex for makers of the raw inputs.
Right, and that connected directly to the utilities move. Digital Bridge completed about a $1.05 billion ArcLight acquisition, and separately, a Texas battery energy storage system closed about $450 million in financing.
So what really stands out here is how financing availability reduced execution risk for projects, which pushed utilities higher.
Utilities were helped by interconnection chatter too. Regulators and grid operators talking about reforms to speed projects into service. That matters for storage and for renewable project economics.
Moving from energy into real estate, big transactions drove that sector. SL Green sold a 49% stake in a Midtown Tower joint venture, and JBG Smith announced office-to-residential conversions.
Those moves showed capital recycling, institutional money redeploying into higher growth property types like data centers and conversions. The market priced that as active repricing of commercial real estate.
Yeah, that tracks. And those large Salesforce firms with older office assets to accelerate monetization or repositioning.
Exactly. Now, pivoting to crypto, which was a clear underperformer, we saw a reported $528 million outflow from a Bitcoin ETF, and Ethereum traded below $2,000 at one point. That, combined with a large market cap pullback, set a risk-off tone.
Not a great day for crypto. These flows mattered because ETF outflows are a direct liquidity signal, and ETH under 2,000 triggered a lot of technical and sentiment responses.
Yeah, and corporate activity was notable too. There was a reported $408 million bid by a major tech firm for a crypto exchange parent. Regulatory reversals also popped up. So it was not just price action, the M&A and policy noise.
Quick reaction segment. Wow. Okay. Hold on. Say that again?
Right. Big outflows, sub 2,000 ETH, and big bids all in the same day. It compressed risk appetite.
Let's talk healthcare for a second. Mixed headline there. GSK reported an experimental hepatitis B therapy produced a functional cure in about 1 in 5 patients, roughly 20%. That was a bright spot.
Promising clinical news, yes. But the sector also had safety and pricing headlines that capped broader healthcare sentiment. So it was a classic idiosyncratic upside inside a cautious market.
Which connects to the broader theme we kept seeing. Policy and regulatory clarity was a primary mover across sectors. Cannabis rescheduling, an FCC dispute in communications, CFPB activity in finance.
On cannabis, the rescheduling momentum pushed lawmakers and regulators into action. IRS guidance requests, changes to federal forms, and advocacy groups asking to join hearings. Those administrative steps are what markets were watching closely.
Right. If rescheduling moves from uncertainty to transition, it typically compresses risk premia and can open up M&A and capital raising. Traders were reacting to that shifting policy narrative today.
Let's not forget AI as a horizontal theme. Tech headlines included more AI product rollouts, like updates from major platforms and device makers, and activist governance actions in a few big boards.
And there was chatter about private valuations too. Anthropic was mentioned near a $1 trillion valuation in sector notes. That sounded pretty headline grabbing.
Honestly, I was a bit surprised by that number in the notes. It underscored liquidity and governance questions that analysts flagged across tech and finance.
So what really stands out here is the dual nature of AI. It's driving enterprise and device spending, but the funding cycle can introduce valuation risk.
Exactly. The sector saw AI product momentum offset by concerns about where the dollars come from and how governance disputes could redirect capital.
Switching fields, materials and mining were mixed. Permit wins and recycling contracts helped some names, but supply risks kept sentiment guarded. Materials are the upstream story for renewables, so permits de-risk projects and can re-rate companies.
Industrial headlines were also mixed. A big plant expansion by a space company was in the notes, rare earth JV activity, and sadly, some restart news after an accident that temporarily tightened specialty material supply.
Consumer and retail were steady. Walmart opened up to premium direct-to-consumer brands. Dick's Sporting Goods posted good results. And tariff refunds eased some cost pressure.
Content and communications were mixed as well. Festival premieres and scripted deals on one side, and an FCC dispute with a broadcaster on the other. That regulatory angle pushed caution into the space.
Short reactions. Right. Yeah.
Let's highlight the top single moves with context. Jinko Solar's 20 gigawatt bookings, Digital Bridge's $1.05 billion ArcLight deal, the $450 million Texas battery financing, cannabis rescheduling steps, the crypto outflows, and GSK's approximately 20% functional cure readout.
Those were the big headlines that set the tone. Each of them had cross-sector implications. For example, the solar bookings fed material and industrial names, while the battery financing anchored project finance markets.
Actionable things to watch, purely informational. Monitor DEA and IRS guidance on cannabis rescheduling. Track daily Bitcoin ETF flows and ETH price thresholds. Follow interconnection policy and BESS pipelines. And keep tabs on AI funding and governance events.
Also track energy geopolitics. Incidents near the Strait of Hormuz and LNG deals tightened near-term fundamentals today. And that fed some strength in traditional energy infrastructure.
And in healthcare, watch clinical readouts and regulatory commentary. That GSK news could create idiosyncratic winners, but sector-level sentiment will still be driven by reimbursement, safety, and pricing debates.
Risk considerations we heard across analysts. Policy outcomes remain a big swing factor in cannabis, crypto, and communications. Liquidity and valuation risks in AI and crypto could transmit volatility. And execution risk in industrials and materials still matters because of permits and safety restarts.
Right. This was a day where structural, policy-driven re-rating stories, renewables, utilities, cannabis, certain real estate moves, were contrasted with liquidity-sensitive, event-driven assets like crypto and early-stage biotech.
Final quick takeaways. Markets closed with a clear split. Energy, utilities, and real estate outperformed. Crypto and parts of healthcare and communications lagged. Policy and capital allocation headlines were the main drivers.
And the near-term cadence to watch will be DEA and IRS follow-up on cannabis, daily crypto ETF flows and token levels, AI funding and governance updates, and project finance announcements for solar and storage.
Quick short reaction segment. Got it. Makes sense. Good notes.
That wraps our May 28th recap. Remember, this is analysis for informational purposes only, not personalized investment advice or specific trade recommendations.
If you have questions about anything we covered today, head to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask us directly and we'll answer live. For more market analysis and insights, visit stockalpha.ai.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back with more sector recaps after the next market close. Take care.